What if your business struggles stem not from external factors but your own limiting beliefs?
What if you could shift that belief? What if that belief could turn into your business, your entrepreneurial journey being fun? What if it could be joyful? What if it could be impactful? I was just blown away by the fact that we were not taught this stuff in school. You can't feel bad and expect to achieve your goal.
Welcome to Inspired by Success, the podcast where I deep dive into the mindset of successful entrepreneurs, CEOs, and thought leaders. Get ready to be inspired and gain valuable insights to unlock your true potential.
Transform your financial future with this episode sponsored by KE Financial Services.
What if your business struggles stem not from external factors but your own limiting beliefs? My guest discovered this after 15 years working with entrepreneurs. Now he helps them overcome challenges through mindset shifts, unlocking new freedom and abundance. By expanding their self-imposed boundaries, he guides entrepreneurs to tap into greater profitability, passion, and purpose. His approach proves our potential is only limited by the size of our mindset. Join us as we transform limiting beliefs into limitless growth. Explore the inner path to outer success with mindset expert Ken Atart. Welcome to the show, Ken.
Thanks for having me, Linda. I really appreciate it. And I am really excited to be here and trust that we're going to offer some really good value to your guests, to your
Thank you.
listeners.
No worries. Tell us about yourself and what inspired you to become a mindset-focused business consultant.
Wow. Okay. Well, it originally started, if we go way back, yeah, because it's been going on for about 2 decades, delving into personal development. It originally started, I got involved in network marketing, like many. I think many an entrepreneur, potential entrepreneurs, got involved in network marketing, and part and parcel of that was personal development and listening to speakers and starting to read books that I hadn't been exposed to previously, and I got very intrigued. And the nature of the business as well was putting me in front of groups of people on a regular basis. I quite enjoyed listening to speakers. I got motivated myself, inspired myself, and it just felt like something very natural for me to do as well. Even getting in front of groups of people, and that really wasn't a huge challenge. It wasn't something that I was scared of or anything like that. Yet one of the biggest things that intrigued me as well, and I've said this over and over, and which inspired me to continue to delve into personal development, was I was just blown away by the fact that we were not taught this stuff in school. I was just
Mm.
like, how come they don't teach us this stuff in school? It would be so useful, getting through some of the challenges in life and so on and so forth. And I just got super intrigued. And I said, you know what, this is something that I want to continue to get out there. I want to get a message out there. And like I said, I've been delving into personal development now for almost 2 decades, and just continuing to learn. There's just so much to learn. Yet at the same time, you know, nobody is really reinventing the wheel. I just believe that various speakers, various teachers will deliver a message in different ways. And there will be some people who will resonate with me, and there will be some people who will not. As much as I'd like everybody to resonate with me, I just know that it's not going to be the case. And that's really and truly, I've just continued to learn. I've been an entrepreneur as well myself these past 2 decades as well. I started out as a banker. Um, I speak with this accent because I was born in Toronto, Canada. Yet, at the age of 14, my parents decided they wanted to move back to Malta, and I've been here ever since. So, from that early age of 14, believe it or not, when I look back, there was some really interesting lessons that I began to learn, in actual fact, because one of the things I truly believe in, for any entrepreneur to be successful, is to really understand how it's important to be able to adapt, to be able to pivot when necessary,
Mm.
because things change. And again, just over the course of the years, I started out as a banker, then I moved into sales. And from sales, I moved into more sales, but with a smaller company which potentially I became a director of. Then moved away from there, moved into retail, had a couple of retail shops, been through some of the trenches of, doing really well, and then at one point, no, not doing so well, and having to. And thankfully, at that point in time, I had already started to delve into personal development, which really and truly helped me to get through. And believe it or not, it was in 2019 that I made a decision and said, you know what? I believe that I'm truly ready to get a message out there that I want to get out there. I founded Mindset Malta, which basically was a Facebook page where I just began to do some live videos and offer some tips in general. And lo and behold, we know what happened in 2020. And I just decided to shift my business completely, because I did have a promotional merchandise business at that time as well, which was my predominant business, and just shift completely into focusing on personal development and consulting. And I decided to work with entrepreneurs for the specific reason that I've been an entrepreneur for so many years myself. So there's a number of things that I truly understand while going through the process. And I believe they're the leaders. They're the leaders that, if I can work with one person that is a leader and they can have an effect on their whole organization, then I can have a bigger impact than I can have a bigger impact that can affect essentially a whole section or a whole group of people, so many organizations, rather than just one person at a time. So that's brought me to where I am today.
Beautiful, because like mindset is super important, especially for entrepreneurs. Especially, it's a rocky road in the journey, and there's many ups and downs and a lot of uncertainties. For me personally, I've been an entrepreneur since 2000, when COVID hit, basically.
Yeah.
And it's definitely been, I've had to pivot many times as well. And in the retail, like I sell cards and collectibles, and it's just been a lot of ups and downs, especially when there's updates like Facebook updates, for example, when you're relying on one platform. So there has been many different turns, but I think mindset has been crucial. And I'm lucky that I've been into the self development world for a while. I love to read, I love to learn and improve. But even I have times where there's difficult days and I'm feeling overwhelmed and I'm feeling
Hmm.
stressful as well. So I'm keen to learn more about that as well in your experience. So, what are the biggest mindset pitfalls holding entrepreneurs back?
The biggest pitfalls holding them back. Well, ultimately, as much of a cliche as it is generally they are holding themselves back. There's something that I've put together which I call the ARC method, and essentially it's a method that underlies any of the programs that I've put together, and also I know it's also going to underlie potentially future programs as well. And it's simply because it's the ARC method, because of the fact I named it ARC method, for the fact that an arc or an arch is a very strong foundation. It's one of the strongest structures when it comes to architecture. And the ARC method is essentially a very strong foundation when it does come to mindset. And it's made up of 5 pillars. And those 5 pillars being, it starts from awareness. And I think this is really, really absolutely vital. When we're talking about awareness, we're talking about learning. Just before we got on, you were talking about the fact that you like to learn, you love to learn, and continue to learn. For the people who are on, as guests on the show, and it is absolutely vital that you are continuously learning. That awareness is vital. Now, another component of awareness is this, which is really, really important, is the fact that although you have learned many things over the course of your life, some very valid things that you've learned over the course of your life, the amazing thing though is they're not necessarily the truth. You may have learned certain things over the course of your life. Even an entrepreneur, one of my biggest pet peeves when it comes to entrepreneurship is that in the entrepreneur world, and we've already touched on it a tiny bit here, it's been sort of mentioned. In the entrepreneurial world, whether you're attending a program, you're attending a live event, you're reading books, I can guarantee you, words like struggle, suffer, sacrifice, stress, they all come up. Very much so, to the point that many will teach you that, listen, if you want to be an entrepreneur, be prepared that you're going to suffer. Be prepared that you're going to struggle. Be prepared that you're going to sacrifice. You're not going to have any time for anything but your business. Forget having time for your family. Forget, and we're taught this. That doesn't mean it's the truth. Yet, because you have been taught this over and over and over and over again, it becomes a belief. It becomes a belief. And if that is your belief, that is what your reality is going to be. because you will look to have that justified. Your mind will look to have it justified and say, hey, Ken, you said you can't, but look how much I'm suffering here. Or look how much sacrifice I'm doing here. Yes, if that's a very strong belief of yours, that is going to be your reality. My question is this: what if you could shift that belief? What if that belief could turn into your business, your entrepreneurial journey being fun? What if it could be joyful? What if it could be impactful? What if it could be inspirational? And you start shifting that so that now that becomes your reality. I'm not saying you're not going to have your challenges. You're going to have your challenges because that's where you're going to grow as a person. Yet when you can truly be joyful, have fun, even through the difficult moments, the challenges, now we're starting to tap into real success when you can do that. So that's number one, the awareness, and continuing to have that awareness so that you can have those, sudden, if sometimes they're not sudden because you're learning, but you'll have those paradigm shifts and all of a sudden you go, aha, so that's what Ken was talking about. Now I get it. And you have those shifts. The second pillar of the ARC method, which we've already mentioned as well, is adapting, which is all about change. It's ultimately the only constant that you're going to have. Things will change. Today, your business is working and it's working wonderfully, and you think this is phenomenal, and something changes, and now you have to find a way to make that shift, to adapt. And more importantly about the change and the shifting is accepting that that is going to happen. Being willing to look at it and say, okay, it's time to change this. We have to look at this in a different way so that we can, create the results that we want to get. So the adapting part, the being willing, the accepting that change is going to happen, really, really important. There are so many entrepreneurs that will resist that change, and because of that resistance, they just will not move forward. I mean, we can use the example, as much as I really don't enjoy talking about it, yet we can use the example of COVID. Look how many things changed during COVID, potentially without. And that's the great thing, is looking at it and saying, okay, what have I learned from this? What have I benefited from this? Potentially, I may not be speaking to you here had that not happened for both of us, because you had a big turnaround as well. So potentially, and this is what's really cool. And it's actually a really great segue moving into pillar number 3, which is alignment, which is all about inspiration. Alignment is tapping into something, call it whatever you'd like to call it, something bigger than you. Some people like to call it God. Some people like to call it source. Some people like to call it the field, the quantum field. Personally, what I like to call it nowadays is, I call it the umami self. Now, why do I call it the umami self? Umami in the food world is that taste that when you have something, that umami is that taste that is indescribable. The definition of umami being the essence of deliciousness. So the umami self is the essence of deliciousness of who you truly are. Because when you are tapping into that source, that energy that is much bigger than you are actually tapping into the real you, not the physical body, it's the real you, where everything you want, everything you desire already exists. It already is. So learning to adapt, to shift into understanding how important it is to make that shift, to start to tap into this real you. Now it's a whole new ball game, because when you start to tap into that, it's no longer about you. And again, this is a huge thing with entrepreneurs. It's no longer about you chasing anything.
Can I just interrupt you there for a second before we go to
Absolutely.
the fourth? We've done how many pillars? We're up to.
We're on the third one. We are on the third.
Okay, before we go to the fourth pillar, I just want to
Yeah.
give an example, a personal story as
Yeah.
well, because the last, and it's just exactly what you mentioned too, because the last couple of days, things that in my business weren't going the way as planned, and my sales were down because I've got vending machines, and three of them were down. Out of three out of three were down, out of my control. But and
Right.
sales were just slow, and just a lot of things building up. And the kids are back at school, so there's we're coming back from the holidays period now, and it's just a lot
Yeah.
of overwhelm and stress, but the sales are down. And then tired, and I've got like a tooth healing. So it's just feeling down. And I have moments when
Right.
my energy level is up.
Yep.
But I went and got myself a massage. And while I was getting a massage, I was just praying because I believe in God. And I was just saying, look, just help me with the challenges that I'm going to like give me the tools to deal with these challenges. But instead of just focusing on myself, I was just asking for, look, use me as a tool so that I can help other people, so that I can become a better leader, so I can become a
Mm-hmm.
better partner, a better mother. Just use me as a tool, but help me inspire and help others. And that took the shift away from me and my small little problem world into something bigger. And then later on today, two of the machines got fixed. And it's saying, I wonder if that's because I believe in the quantum field and manifestation and just vibrational and raising your energy, because I was feeling really down.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, just instead of taking the focus on myself, just helping be a part of like the bigger picture and helping others and taking that shift away, that really, it helped relieve some of that stress and overwhelmed. So is that something
Absolutely. And
related? It sounded like what you just
yeah,
mentioned.
it's exactly what I'm saying, and it's also taking it to the point where you literally hand it over. And
Mm.
we're getting to that, part now with regards to the pillars as well. So it's sort of like, so this is what I'm saying, even when it comes to from change, and it's handing it over, because essentially we're not seeing the whole picture. So it's sort of like, imagine you lived in a 30-story building, and you lived on the first floor. Yet there's someone living in the penthouse at the very top, and you're leaving in the morning and you're going to work. You're going to take your normal route, and the person in the penthouse is saying to you, "Hey, Linda, don't take your normal route today. Don't turn to the left because there's a ton of traffic that way. Go to the right." Yet you're on the ground floor. You can't see everything, and you're going, "What are you talking about? There's nothing out here." You're just not seeing everything. So, and it's coming, and it's an understanding, and this is where trust comes into it, is that understanding that ultimately everything is always working out for you, even when it appears not to be. Because you're like, why are my machines all down? All three of them are down. There's something wrong here. What's going on? And it appears to be wrong, yet you're just not seeing the whole picture yet as to essentially why. A classic example that I've heard many a time, but we'll use it because it's really good. You get slowed down in traffic, so for some reason, like I get reminded many times, have you ever been driving behind someone and just like they're just really going slow?
Mm.
Just like, what? It's, for me, it's just a reminder, Ken, slow down. You don't need to go that fast. Now potentially that person actually you know stopped me from potentially having an accident further up, simply because they slowed me down. And you appreciate that, and you take that. So alignment, and this is an alignment as well. It's really good. You took a massage. Now the great thing about that is this, and this is one of the first things, believe it or not, that I have to tell entrepreneurs, is stop. You need to stop. You're just going way too fast. You need to stop. And many will say to me, but Ken, I can't stop. What if I stop? Again, because of the way they've been taught that, if they stop, someone else is going to keep going and they're going to take a piece of the pie and I'm going to miss out, and which is essentially only coming from a lack
Like,
mentality. Like the proverbial pie of abundance, you can't take a slice away from the proverbial pie of abundance and be left with less. You're still left with abundance. Yet so many think that there's this limited pie, and once someone takes a piece of it, now I've missed out. I've lost. Well, that's only a lack mindset. And that's why it's important to slow down, simply because when you slow yourself down enough, when you slow down your brain waves enough, this is when you can actually receive inspiration. This is when you can receive a solution to a problem. You see, because if you're not slowed down enough, and this is why it's not about chasing, you don't chase a solution, you don't chase a problem, because the frequency of a solution is not the same frequency as the problem. Yet when you're chasing the problem, you're aligning with the frequency of the problem, not the frequency of the solution. You need to slow down enough. This is why so many people, all of a sudden, they get a great idea where? In the shower,
I know.
at a
Yeah.
massage, because
Yeah.
these just slowed down. Now, the
Yeah.
cool thing, though, is that was done accidentally. But what if you purposely know how to do it and you learn how to do it and you say, you know what, I'm going to spend 10, 15 minutes a day, a little bit quiet. Let me just receive some inspiration. Let me receive the solution. Whatever it is, let me receive a sign of what, the next decision is to take. So this is so, 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 so important because everything you want lies there. Now, moving into pillar number 4, it's about applying. Applying is about action. Now, I want to make something really clear here, which ties in with the alignment that we were talking about as well. Because again, in the entrepreneurial world, how many times have we heard, I don't know, a dream is just a dream unless you're taking action. It's just wishful thinking. If you're not taking action, you need to be taking action. You need to be taking massive, massive action. You need to be taking
Mhm.
massive action. I've heard entrepreneurs talk about, you can't have any white space in your calendar. Your calendar needs to be 100% full all of the time. Like, what I have discovered over the years is it isn't about taking action. Yes, action is important, but there's a significant difference between action and inspired action. When I'm inspired and I'm shown the action to take, now I'll give you an example. If I'm a salesperson or I'm selling my product or whatever it is, rather than me having to contact 100 clients to have 5 clients potentially purchase, now I'm contacting 10 clients and 5 clients are purchasing because I'm contacting the right clients. I'm being shown, a path, a way to move towards what it is I truly want. Rather than simply, there's so many people really doing, taking a lot of action, or what I like to call is busy doing nothing.
Mm.
Some people are always busy. Like, I know, I'm busy, I'm busy, I'm busy. Like, you don't have 15 minutes. Like, I live on an island that's 120 square miles. Okay. So I can meet up with a friend within 10, 15 minutes to have a quick coffee, a chat, catch up, and no problem whatsoever. But there are always those people who like, oh yeah, let's set, yeah, maybe we can meet in a couple of months. Cause like, I'm super, super big. You're telling me you can't find 15 minutes in the next week, for instance? I mean, it's just amazing how some people are just, and I just consider a lot of them are, and I say with the utmost respect, busy doing nothing. And I want to let those people off the hook if there's anybody listening here, because the only reason they're doing that is because they have a strong belief that by doing more, by always being busy, means that they're being more efficient, that they're more important potentially, that whatever these beliefs are. So it's we'll take someone down a road where they have to be really honest with themselves and start looking at, is this efficient? Is this really the best way to go about things? Am I really happy going about these things? And before I move into pillar number 5, is there anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, no, that's true because I totally agree because I have one of those busy. I like to be productive and I like to get things done. I've been told many times to slow down because I'm always go 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 go, and I try to delegate. And I have a team that is amazing that help me as well. But I still like to achieve more and accomplish more. But sometimes that gets a bit of me because I try to be, a mother, business owner, podcast. It's like I do, and then I find myself overwhelmed. But I have been and
Yeah.
stressed as well. But I totally believe.
Want me to give you
But
a quick
today,
tip for overwhelming?
yeah, what?
You want a quick tip for overwhelming?
Slow down.
No,
What's the
not just
tip?
slow down.
Yeah.
So many times overwhelmment, believe it or not, is so. Can you picture a time when you felt overwhelmed? Just
Uh,
go back to it.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yesterday.
Now, when you look at it, when you're,
It's a movie.
it's a movie, yeah. And are you seeing through your eyes, or are you seeing yourself in the movie?
Myself.
You're seeing yourself in the movie, or seeing through your eyes?
Or maybe, I don't know how I felt, really. It's just,
Yeah,
yeah,
it
yeah.
is. But the feeling comes. So this is the cool thing. The feeling comes from the thoughts. The thoughts create the feelings, which create a movie or a picture. So if I ask you what's the color of your front door, for you to tell me the color of your front door, you need to pull up a picture or a movie of it very quickly. So we do the same thing for many people who get overwhelmed. they see through their eyes, so they're literally associated in that movie. So it becomes very overwhelming. It completely surrounds them. So all you do is, in your movie, you take a step back, you take a step out of the movie, and now you watch yourself in the movie. And right away it begins to dissipate. It's a really interesting tool. It's a really interesting tool. It helps with that overwhelmment. And and there are things like questions I would ask someone like yourself, for instance. Why is it so important for you to accomplish all of these things? Right? We don't have to answer. It's a rhetorical question. Yeah, but why do I have to accomplish all of these things, right? Why is that so important? Because then we start to delve into potentially some beliefs will come out, right? Because if I don't do it, I'm not adequate enough, or I'm not good enough, or for me to be considered someone who's successful, I have to show this, show this, show this, and show this. So all of these things start to potentially come into play. And
What about energy though?
if I
Because, yep,
Mhm.
sorry, go.
Go ahead,
No,
go ahead,
because
go
what
ahead, go
if
ahead.
there's energy as well? Sometimes I use, like, I'm able to turn negative, like I have this ability to be able to get the negatives and the dark moments and turn that around and use it as fuel as well to help me
Yeah,
grow. So, and when I have that energy, like today, I had an idea to help my friend get more leads, and I gave her all these tips, and I was just so energetic to help her, and I was like more pumped
yeah,
than she was, but to help her grow her business, basically,
yeah.
and I don't know what I was like. Why am I so energetic? But I should be focusing on my own business. But I was just so pumped to help her, and I don't know
Well,
that
you just
energy that
probably love
I have. What was that? Sorry.
Yeah, you probably just love to serve people as well, because when we're serving someone else, it really does, like, it gives us that vitality, right? That gives us that,
Mm,
we're it's one of the greatest things to be able to serve someone else. Yet, we do have to keep in mind, so there's a balance for it, right? So we do have to keep in mind, if I want to give you an apple, I need to have an apple first.
mm,
And this is why sometimes the overwhelmment can happen as well, because we're potentially giving and not allowing ourselves to receive.
mm,
Because giving and receiving is literally the same thing. It's literally the same thing. Yet so many people talk about giving and giving, yet then they're giving, and at the same time they're saying, oh, because I never get back, because they don't do that. Well, they're going into a completely different energy of expectation, and they're not giving because they truly want to give, or coming from a place of love, or coming from a place of gratitude. They're simply giving because they're expecting to get back, and they expect someone to behave in a certain way because they get that just starts to change things a tiny bit. Yet we do
mm,
have to remember to replenish ourselves. I need to, and if we want to call it, if we go with love, remember to love myself first, so that then I can truly love someone else. Because if I'm not loving myself, if I'm not taking care of myself, how can I take care of someone else? How can I help to take care of someone else? So this is truly, truly important. And sometimes as well, in an instance like this, that you have your stuff to take care of, and you're helping someone else, and that gives you, it helps you to elevate your frequency too, right? Because you're helping someone else. Yet it's really important, and very vital important, to be honest with yourself and say, okay, I do have to look at this now. I have to look at this so that I replenish myself, that I take care of these things. And this is where you just slow yourself down about, and a nice segue into pillar number 5, which is allowing. And allowing, which we've already touched upon a bit as well, is all about trust. Trusting yourself, trusting the divine, like we said, the umami self, source, whatever you'd like to call it, whatever someone like, and trusting that, and trusting that it truly is working out. And it's working out in divine timing. It's wonderful to set a goal. Fantastic. Now set that goal, feel excited about that goal and how that feels, just like we did when you were looking at that picture of overwhelmment and how you felt in that overwhelmment. Now create a goal where you feel really excited about it, and then let it go, because it's all about creating the excitement. How that goal is going to come about, we're going to trust. We're going to trust it's going to come out exactly the way it needs to come about, in the timing that it needs to come about, and trust it. Trust the divine completely. Everything is always working out for you, and you trust it completely. And now that, as easy as it's been said, that's a big thing. I've been working on that for a year, honestly. And sometimes I find myself not trusting myself. I find myself not trusting the divine, and saying, it's going to work out. It's okay. It's going to work out
But you have to
exactly the
do
way it
some
needs
of
to
the
work out.
stuff too, though. You have to do some action steps as well, right? Because you
You
can't just
will be.
write goals that you're not going to, I've written my goals like certain audacious goals too, but realistic goals. But I trust, but I also know that I need to do some steps. I think writing it down helps, but you do need to do some action as well.
But,
You,
absolutely. But that's where the inspired action comes in. Absolutely. You're excited about it. And it's
mm,
all about essentially this whole entrepreneurial journey that anybody is on. And I like to say that everybody is an entrepreneur because we're all in this business called life. Okay? So essentially that entrepreneurial journey and the again, another huge cliche that we've heard over and over again. As much of a cliche as it is, it truly is the truth. It's about enjoying the journey. It's not about the goal because you will arrive and there will be more to do. There will be more to do. So, what's the sense of not enjoying the journey and thinking that you're going to be joyful when you arrive at the destination? You're actually, if you're not enjoying the journey, you're actually pushing that destination further away. But yet, by adding joy to your journey and enjoying the whole thing, the whole journey, you're actually drawing in the goal. It's not chasing the goal again, it's drawing in the goal to you. I like to say that there's like this cloud where everything you want already is. This is your life, this is your cloud. And your life has some of the stuff that your cloud. Yet, if some things aren't going well in your life, and you're just continuously looking at that, let's say, reality, what appears to be a reality, you're missing out on all of this. So this is where the adapting, the shifting comes, is rather than looking over here, I say, oh, just a second, let me slow down, let me look here where everything I want is. So let me create the excitement of imagine myself seeing that goal done, it's ready, it's all having the relationships, all the stuff, whatever it is you want, it's all there already. And now I start to draw this cloud to me because everything I want is already there rather than chasing it, which is, you will get there with this is the crazy thing, is that, with sheer determination, people will arrive, yet it's just a longer journey. And more often than not, it can potentially be a much more challenging journey. And the amazing thing as well is that, you know, as humans, we love those stories. We love to hear about the guy who, or the lady who was, in dug a hole and then pulled themselves out. We love those stories.
mm.
Yet, wouldn't you prefer to be able to somewhat, and again, you'll always have challenges because that's where you grow. Yet, wouldn't it be nice to actually coast through it much more joyfully than have to go into this huge hole where you have to pull yourself out? And that's what it's all about, is really just understanding you can really enjoy yourself throughout the whole journey and finding ways to do that.
What if someone is in their entrepreneur journey, but they feel like there's stagnation, there's no growth? Like, what advice do you have? Because just say, they've just got the same revenue target, like they've got a target, but it's just not growing every month, for example. Have you got
Well,
any tips and
one of the
advice?
obvious questions is like, yeah, you have people who, well, I actually have people who come to me and say, Ken, I'm feeling really stuck. Like you said, I'm feeling really stuck. Well, one of the reasons that they're feeling really stuck, many a time, believe it or not, is because they keep reiterating that they're stuck. Because as you do that, as you speak, you're speaking, basically speaking your story. And as you do that, you just reinforce the neural pathways in the brain. So that becomes, I'm stuck, I'm stuck, I'm stuck, I'm stuck. And how many times a day are you telling people, I'm stuck? I feel like my business is stuck. I feel like I can't move forward. And you keep saying that. Well, that's part of the reason. So change the story. What would you like? What would you like to see happen? What could be done differently? Because we've got to start looking at what could potentially be done differently. What is working? What is not working? Are you focusing so much on what's not working, again, that you are perpetuating that rather than shifting a tiny bit and saying, hey, wait a second, we've got this working, we've got this working, we've got this working. Look how many great things we have working in our business. Or we could even take it to the extent of, look how many great things you have working in your life, right? Where a lot of people will say, because my life is a whole disaster, when in fact their life isn't a disaster. There's one small segment of their life that they're not entirely happy with. So stop focusing on that one segment that you're not entirely happy with. Look at all you got going for you. So let's just take you to some gratitude and some
Mm.
appreciation for a tiny bit. Let's get you so that you can feel good. And that's all it is. It's all about just feeling good about yourself and being in that feeling good. I don't even like to use the terminology positive mindset anymore. I like to say a good feeling mindset. So you right away, and this is why mindset is so powerful, is because you can feel good immediately. You don't have to physically have the goal yet to feel good, because ultimately it's the emotional manifestation that comes first. You can't feel bad and expect to achieve your goal. So you want to go for feeling good first. So you could just simply, I don't know, think about your favorite food right now, or think about, for those who have children, for the most part, think about your children right now, and you will automatically feel awesome. More often than not, a smile will come to your face right away, as it is with you. Smile comes to your face, you're feeling good. Hey, I feel good. Now you're at a frequency, you're at a vibration that you can entertain receiving anything that's aligned with feeling good. And now you start to see some shifts starting to happen. So more often than not, these people are saying they're stuck. They're so focused on what the apparent reality of their business is that they're forgetting that there's a whole different reality available to them. That's
Wow.
why the emotional comes first. It's so, so important. Understanding the emotional manifestation comes first. I can feel good in this moment right now. I can just switch my thinking to something that feels really good. And it can be as small as I want it to be or as big as I want it to.
Yeah, I find that gratefulness, like gratitude, sorry, really does help. And I've noticed that like a few times actually, just really concentrating on gratitude, who you're grateful for and why. And then when I'm in a bad mood, I use that, and then it makes it go away straight away. So it does help.
Very quickly.
Yeah. What do you see successful founders believe differently compared to those who struggle? So, in terms of beliefs, is it like, what do you see?
I would say what I would see, there's a certain element of knowing that they can achieve it, knowing that they can get to wherever they want to get to. They understand that there potentially might be some challenges along the way, the willingness to learn, the willingness to understand that, and not look at, again, failure as failure. To me, failure is like pretty well non-existent. It's looking at things as feedback, taking that feedback and saying, okay, how can we use that feedback so that we can get a different result? Because ultimately, you're always getting a result. It's just that sometimes we're not happy with the result that we're getting. So we look at it, we take the feedback, and we say, okay, what can we do differently so that we can get a different result, so that you can get a different result? I think many, the entrepreneur, a big difference when it comes to, and again, I use this term loosely, a successful entrepreneur and an entrepreneur that hasn't quite got to the success they want is is truly, I believe, more than ever, is the amount of time they actually dedicate to mindset, to personal development. You see, there's this thing, there's this thing that I like to call the triple U syndrome. U being the letter U. And essentially, the majority of entrepreneurs have heard about mindset in one way or another. I mean, think about it. You and I can have more information available to us today in one day than my grandparents could have had in a lifetime, right? One day we have all that information. So people have heard about mindset. The information is there. Like I said, I am not reinventing any wheel. I'm delivering maybe in a slightly different way than someone else might be, but I'm not reinventing the wheel. Yet, even though they've heard about mindset, they simply say, "Oh, that's interesting. What Ken and Linda had to say was really interesting. I think I'll look into it one day." And it gets underrated. It just gets pushed to the side, and one day I'll have a look at it. It's no different than, I like to use the example. I don't know if this has ever happened to you. It's definitely happened to me. You buy a book and you just haven't read it.
Mm.
It's sitting
Mm.
on the shelf. It's there for you to read. You just have to bring the book down off the shelf and start reading. Same thing with mindset. People just say, "Oh, let me put it back. Let me put it on the back burner for now. I'll get to it. When I have everything that I want to have, I'll get to it." So essentially, the second you is that it gets underestimated. Like it's your superpower. It's everything. Like everything you want, you can create with your mind. That's where it starts. So it gets underrated. It gets underestimated, and because of that, it simply gets underutilized. And again, letting people off the hook. Your belief up until now just isn't strong enough to believe that mindset is your superpower. Because if you truly knew that it was your superpower, you'd dedicate some time every day to learn one bit more, a little more. Let me delve into this. And it doesn't take, and again, it's small amounts consistently and being dedicated to it. I make it a point every morning, essentially, some reading, some listening, some meditating, whatever it may be, getting myself ready for the day. And it's absolutely to me, it's vital. It's absolutely vital. You do that a bit every day, that adds up. That adds up. A lot of people don't even realize if you took 1 hour for yourself every day, whatever for whatever reason that is, that you just stayed a bit quiet, dedicate time for yourself. In a year, that's 365 hours. Now, to make it even more significant, 365 hours is the equivalent of 42 8-hour days. 42 8-hour days. Now, if I were to come to you, Linda, and say to you, you know what, I want you to take 42 days off, you'd probably say to me, Ken, I can't do that, man. I got my business. There's no way I can take 42 days off. Yet, if you took an hour for yourself every day, you would have the equivalent of that in a whole year.
No, I totally
And it
agree.
could make a significant difference.
Yeah, I when I'm driving, I'll be listening to podcasts, and there's just so much information that we can access nowadays. It's unbelievable. Like when I was stressed, I was listening to. I found a new podcast that talked about meditation through another
Mm-hmm.
podcast, and she was talking about energy, and I was just like, I love learning. And then, while
Yep.
I'm eating dinner, I'll be trying to learn something, watching YouTube, for example, and then before going to bed, I'll be reading. So I'm constantly trying to learn as much as I can as well. So, and I think a book that talks about mindset that changed my perception of it was Mindset by Carol Derwick, and I
Okay.
read that years ago, but that was a game changer. But if you could pick one core mindset shift that makes the biggest impact, what would it be?
One cool mindset shift that makes the biggest impact. I think it's sort of like what we talked about now is being ready to dedicate a bit of time every day. Just a bit of time every day to learn. And then, I mean, the obvious, let's say, is apply it and practice it every day. That can start sometimes. Like I said, a lot of times I just people listen. Morning. Let's start with just a simple appreciation journal. You sat down for 5 minutes, listed 3 things that you could appreciate, small, big, whatever it is. Or right away, that is going to set the tone for the day. It's going to set the tone for the day. And you can list many more. You can probably list 10, 15 things. And it doesn't matter if the next day you repeat some of those things, but you're reminding yourself that there's much going very well in your life already. And as you do that, you're just bringing more. You're just saying, listen, I want more of that. I want more of that. So I think dedication to learning just a bit every day about mindset and simply putting yourself in an appreciation mode every single day, first thing in the morning. You can do it throughout the day as well. There's many times you can do it throughout the day. I think that will absolutely make a huge shift in anybody's life.
Yeah, totally agree. Do you have any books or mentors that have just made a massive impact in your life that you could share with us? If you're not into reading books, some people aren't.
Oh
Some
no, I'm
people,
very much into reading. There's so many.
yeah. But which ones have made a huge
Oh,
impact?
it
Or
impacted my life throughout the years. I mean, without a doubt. I think Wayne Dyer definitely had an impact in my life way back as well. I think Dr. David Hawkins. There's a book, Power versus Force, which was plus. He has Letting Go. He has one on healing as well. Absolutely phenomenal stuff. I think a huge impact on my life. Um, Esther Hicks, Abraham Hicks. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. She actually does some channeling, so that as well, almost a part of my life every day. A huge impact on my life.
What do
Oh
you mean
wow!
channeling? Is she a medium or
So
something?
her name is Esther Hicks. Yet she actually she's a medium. Yeah, but she actually channels what she calls Abraham, which essentially is collective consciousness. Now I've been listening. The cool thing that the reason I love her so much is it's like I've been listening to her for years. Like when I say years, again, probably a good 15 years at least. And she has never contradicted herself. In all those years that I've listened, it's not like, 10 years ago she was saying one thing and, today she's saying a different thing. She's saying very similar. It's expanded over the years without a doubt, but never has contradicted herself at all. So I think that she's definitely had a huge impact. Books, I mean, Joe Dispenza. I love listening to Joe Dispenza as
Mm,
well, his works
yep.
as well.
Yep.
And he's got a number of books as well.
Yep.
Without a doubt, way back in the very beginning, Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill, very popular book with many people as well, had an impact. Um, uh, my NLP certification, master practitioner, that I had done years ago as well, had a huge impact on one of the tools that I use and help people with as well. So that had a huge impact as well. And so there's so many, like there's just so many. Oh, and I have to say this as well, for my spirituality. um One of the biggest things that's had an impact on my life is A Course in Miracles, which I don't know if you've ever heard of that.
I think I've heard of it. I haven't read. I don't know if I've read it yet, but
Which is
the
not a
book is very
book.
familiar.
It's not
But
like I
is
can't
it?
call it a book. It's such a huge. It's a reference for me again, because it's got so many things that are absolutely brilliant in it. Which tied with that, as anybody interested in that, as a prelude to it, I would highly suggest another book, which is called Disappearance of the Universe,
Wow.
which is by Gary Renard, which is a really good prelude to A Course in Miracles. And this is one of those books. So let me give you Disappearance from the Universe is one of those books that sat in my house for a good 3 years, 4 years before I actually picked it up. Yet the timing was perfect, because probably if I had picked it up years before, I wasn't ready for it.
Mm.
I wasn't ready for it. Now that A Course in Miracles is like, honestly, is a part of my life every day. The essential thing is this, when it comes to that, the spiritual, is that you and I and everybody listening here and everybody you will come in contact with every single day of your life, we're all the same at core. At core, we're all the same. So what does that mean? This is part of it. We're all the same. So that means if we're all the same and we're all connected, we're all one and the same, you know, I can't hurt you without hurting myself. I can't be kind to you without being kind to myself. It's automatic. It's going to happen automatically. And I've taken this, and this is very core for me as well when it comes to anybody that I'm working with in consulting, is that, like, I want people to bring that into their business, because now we're going into a business meeting with a completely different approach. We're not looking to have the one up on someone or anything like that. We're looking to have, and we're moving toward, I mean, overall, I think business is moving towards this, is more collaboration. This isn't about, it's about win-win. It's not about, it's not about, like I said, one over, like I said, and all this. And if I truly recognize this and know that, what, you're just the same as me, then it's going to be a whole different approach going into these business meetings, or whatever encounter it is, whether it's an encounter in a business meeting, or whether it's an encounter with the cashier at the supermarket. How are you interacting with these people? How are you conveying yourself? Because essentially what you're doing as you're doing that is, the way you are teaching other people, you are teaching yourself.
Wow.
I can't attack another person without attacking myself. So this is one of the major factors in A Course in Miracles, without a doubt, amongst other things. But I don't think we'll get into it today.
No worries.
It's a whole
Yeah,
different.
I've learned a lot, and I hope if you guys are watching as well, if you had found value, please hit the like and subscribe button. It does help the channel grow as well. How would you define success personally? What does success mean to you?
Something I heard not too long ago was, I thought it was really good. One of these is, again, being joyful throughout the whole journey, being joyful through your challenges, and some of those challenges are going to be big. When you are able to do that, to me, that is like true success. And ultimately, the person that is having the most success is the person that's having the most fun.
Okay, that's good. I like that. I haven't heard that one yet because there's,
Right.
everyone has their own different perception of
Oh yeah.
success and what it means to them. But it's a good one to
Absolutely. And that
like.
comes to, and that ties in with authenticity. It's having, like, even we're talking a bit before, like, even here, like, when we're talking, there's a lot of people, they want to be on a, let's say, on a podcast or whatever, and everything has to be somewhat, let's say, perfect, or that, or someone fumbles a word and they're concerned, and that, in our normal conversations, do we not fumble words?
Mm.
We fumble words in our normal conversation. And I think what's really important, and success as well, is something that I've been dabbling into very recently, and more so, and I really want to put something together, which ties in with it, is something that I like to call true freedom. Essentially, entrepreneurs, for the most part, when I ask them, why is it you became an entrepreneur? Why is it you got into the entrepreneurship? You decided to have your own business and whatever. For the most part, most will say that they wanted that, let's say, the obvious. They wanted financial freedom, they wanted time freedom. Yet many of them find themselves going down a rabbit hole, and it's actually the opposite.
Mm.
Yet when I talk about true freedom as well, for me, there are a couple of core elements. Someone really successful, you know they're not worried about what other people are thinking about them and what other people are saying about them. You come to a point where it doesn't matter to me. I don't care. They can say whatever they want. It's okay. I think a lot of entrepreneurs, are worried about, you know, what they think other people are thinking about them, when in actual fact, other people, they're not thinking about them. They're the center
Mm.
of their own universe. They're
Mm.
worried about their own things. They're not concerned.
Yeah.
So, that's one of the components of, and taking an entrepreneur towards more and more towards having that true freedom. Then they're definitely going to see success there, when they have that true freedom, when they're not concerned about other people, that they, it really doesn't matter, and they're not so concerned about, results are important without a doubt. I mean, we want to make a living, we want to, yet they're not so concerned about, because they're just truly trusting that everything's working out.
Very, very insightful. I found that very valuable, and I hope everyone else did as well. Finally, where can people find you if they want to follow you or
Where can people
find you?
find, if they want to find me? They can, yeah, though they can find me, like, in Mindset Malta. They can find me on Instagram, they can find me on Facebook. They can also, something that it's sort of like a gift, if you want to call it. I have a free online program which is called the Mindset Choice. All they have to do is go to growth for the number four entrepreneurs.com. They can get to know a little bit about more about myself, and they can also register for free there if they'd like to do an online program which talks about why mindset is so important as well, and why the mindset choice is so valuable. So they can do that, and then ultimately, if someone would like to send me an email, they by all means, they can do that, and they can send it to Ken at mindsetmalta.com, and I will definitely get back to them.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
My absolute pleasure, Linda. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.